This week in the parish of bourses and market structure, Kazakh merger freeze, Zimbabwe list, and on a personal note, our sad day. My name is Patrick L. Young. Welcome to the Bourse Business Weekly Digest. It's the Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast, episode 304. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very brief reduction of highlights amongst the key headlines from the week in market structure. All the analysis of the many events and happenings from the past 7 days can be found in Exchange Invest Daily Subscriber Newsletter, the unique guide to the Bourse business, sent daily to your inbox. More details at exchangeinvest.com. We begin this week with a sad note. I appreciate you came for the weekly Bourse podcast, but on my apologies for the personal nature of this note, I must interrupt with a personal tone beyond the business of bourses, but also contiguous to our market structure. This is the hardest message I've ever had to deliver. Please bear with me. My brilliant wife, business partner, inspiration and muse, Beata Young, went missing on June the 16th while swimming off the coast from our Caribbean idyll. Police investigations are ongoing. Please may I ask you to respect this investigation and not engage in public speculation. I will endeavour to respond to all DMs as best I can, but you can appreciate these are difficult times. To all those of you who wish to pray or send a message to your God, regardless of faith or just to the universe, please do so. We all hope for a miraculous return of an incredible woman. All our offices remain open. I would like to add a huge word of thanks to our amazing team who have continued to work diligently. We are continuing to publish Exchange Invest. Our social media clients are fully covered, and most importantly of all, Beata's work through Women on It continues. Our team intends to continue Beata's work as a beacon of light and inspiration for women in tech on boards and female entrepreneurs across the world. To all those who have assisted with the search, my profound thanks on my own behalf, on behalf of our family and all our team. When I have any news, we will update you on the situation. In the meantime, spare a thought, please, for the brilliant Beata Young. Thank you. And our profound thanks for all the kind messages we've received via DM, social media, and email from all over the world since we published that message in Exchange Investment online in Exchange Invest 3318 and on LinkedIn, etc. I can readily appreciate the prevailing comment has tended towards versions of I can't find the word. That is a perfect response. We can't find the words either. There is a huge void in our lives in the office and at home, and we miss this amazing woman at all times, thanks to her dynamism in so many areas, particularly working with women in IT, entrepreneurship, and beyond. I personally owe a debt of gratitude to the amazing Exchange Invest and Women on It teams who have managed social media process with remarkable calm and candour. I have no doubt their boss Beata beams with pride at the team's resolute professionalism. Onwards to this week's Exchange News Review. Over in BitCarnage, we questioned crypto's OCC chief. Jonathan Gould has been confirmed to lead the OCC, that's the Office of the Controller of the Currency. It's an innocuous headline, but if we layer it with US Senate confirms ex-Bitfury exec to lead OCC banking regulator, as it was Cointelegraph, or Forbes's Jonathan Gould confirmed by Senate as OCC chief in a crypto comeback, it rather takes on a new dimension. If you enjoyed this excerpt, you may be interested to know you can read BitCarnage every day in Exchange Invest. Alternatively, if you want to follow BitCarnage, the daily update on the happenings in the world of crypto and digital assets, you can find BitCarnage as a standalone on Substack. This week in exchanges themselves, great news from Hong Kong. Enhancement arrangements for the offshore RMB bond repurchase business have been announced by HKMA. Excellent work all round by the ever-expanding scope of CMU OmniClear, and the RMB yield curve trade via Hong Kong is coming closer. Elsewhere, a story inferred what we spelt out in Exchange Invest not even a decade later, and it looks as if Hong Kong Exchanges Group had a lucky escape in not acquiring the London Stock Exchange, as even The Guardian, yes, the pantheon of lefties in London Stock Exchange needs a shot in the arm from the Treasury, went even their headline. There's unity of media. The lefties at the Groniad and the free marketeers of City AM appreciate the disaster area which the LSE has become. In the Caribbean, the Jamaican Stock Exchange has launched their first summer camp to teach investing to young students. Excellent work as Marlene Street Forrest. The CEO is in her twilight months as Jamaica SE boss, but continues to do truly good work. In Egypt, a tragedy. EGX halted trading on July the 8th after the Ramses data center fire disrupted market operations for an entire day. By July the 9th, the Egyptian Stock Exchange had resumed operations after the Cairo fire disrupted telecoms. The fire at the major local data center resulted in the need to curtail a great deal of bandwidth-intensive activity in Cairo. Worst of all was the news that the Cairo telecom building fire killed 4 and injured 27. Our sympathies to all affected. HNX Hanoi's exchange has halted new stock listings and exchange restructuring. This is part of the long-term plan in Vietnam to leave the exchanges specializing with the Ho Chi Minh Stock Exchange, Jose, listing equities, and the Hanoi Stock Exchange will be trading bonds and derivatives. Not so many results this week, but Philippine Stock Exchange led the way with their bottom line improving 25% in the first half of 2025. Excellent news from the Philippine Stock Exchange. In new markets, great news. The Ethiopian Securities Exchange officially launched trading. The secondary market opened on ESX. You can also catch up with developments there by listening to our IPO-VID 179, introducing the Ethiopian Securities Exchange with ESX COO Michael Habte from just a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, trading giant Virtu, they're backing the plan for IEX's proposed options exchange, where Citadel and SIFMA have left themselves open to potential conflicts of interest questions in opposing the IEX exchange. Virtu supports the new Flashboy options market, complete with a 350 microsecond delay, which strikes me as an exciting development for the burgeoning US equity options marketplace.
Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly. We welcome your feedback. You can contact me directly, patrick@derivativesvision.com, with any comments. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this show, we would welcome you giving us a thumbs up. Or if you have time, a positive review will always be welcome, wherever you find this podcast.
Over in deals, busy week for deals in the parish. All the deals were in Exchange Invest Daily, the newsletter no person can afford to be without in capital markets and market structure. For the sake of this podcast, here's some edited highlights. NSE's IPO has gained pace. The process appears to be being put on a fast track, with concerned officials working on it as a priority, and merchant bankers in India gearing up for a beauty parade in anticipation of NSE's IPO. A mega bonanza looms for everybody involved in the listing process, but the valuation has been hit as part of the Jane Street fallout. The Jane Street ban on the proprietary firm from SEBI has weighed on the NSE market valuation, and that meant a cut of 10% off in the private market as a result of the SEBI action against Jane Street, while the prop firm lodged more than $500 million to be allowed to start trading again in India. Great news from Zimbabwe. ZSE Holdings have finally self-listed on their own main board. Meanwhile, Ukraine is committed to restructuring its stock market in an EBRD deal, a curious deal insofar as long-standing projects via US aid were presumably abandoned when Trump closed that rather less than useful body. Certainly it was hard to credit their presence in Ukraine, as there'd been an ongoing project to modernize Ukraine's capital markets, which never appeared to go anywhere despite beginning long before the latest Putin invasion. The biggest news of the week in deals is a deal not happening. The merger of KZ and AIX has been halted. The exchanges in Almaty and Astana, respectively, are going to retain their current structure functions, according to the National Bank of Kazakhstan. Hallelujah! The market competition in Kazakhstan can continue apace. If you fancy some financial insights with moving pictures, check out our live stream Tuesdays 5 o'clock London, midday New York time is the IPO video live show. Catch the back episodes on LinkedIn and YouTube via IPO-VID. Now online, a fantastic second panel discussion, J for July, Jane Street and more, with Mark Bettis, Anne Berg, Robert Barnes and yours truly, Patrick L. Young. Next week, we'll be looking at the wonders of discussing carbon market updates with the fabulous Steve Zwick. Finance book of the week this week is Tax Arbitrage, Trawling the International Tax System by Nigel Feetham, former IPO-VID guest, and indeed the current Finance Minister of Gibraltar. This book considers the confusion over the boundary between legality and morality. In product news, ICE are expanding the NYSE index family with the launch of a US tech index and a broader range of NYSE-listed indexes. Meanwhile, in technology, Ghana's central security depository has gone live with a new platform from Montran. Very interesting. Montran are big in central banking. I'm not so sure what they really offer in the CSD world, other than good links to central banks, obviously. In career paths, great news for Christian Schoberg. Nasdaq, in an inspired move, has appointed Christian, who was previously in charge of marketplace technology business development within the CCP end of Nasdaq's tech, and Christian is going to become president of Nasdaq Clearing AB, a terrific development at Nasdaq. I'm delighted to see Christian's vast domain expertise being tapped to run Nasdaq Clearing, an excellent appointment by Roland Chai. I can't say I was disappointed in Big World to be left off the Bezos wedding invitations, but I was highly amused to see protests at the plutocrat and a lot of celebrity types being not universally welcomed in La Serenissima. Given Jeff Bezos would have likely been regarded as a fairly liberal dude, to put it mildly, by the cutthroat medieval capitalists who created the amazing lagoon on petrified wooden stilts, replete with palazzi, which defined Venice as the epicenter of indulgent hedonism. Fun fact, in its heyday, Venice boasted 20,000 licensed sex workers, nearly 10% of the total population. Likewise, when it comes to proclaiming Bezos and co. are amongst the tourists overcrowding the city, bear in mind, Venice has 49,000 contemporary residents, plus a maximum of 119,000 tourists a day, which does amount to a lot of people packed into Venice's 2.7 square miles, but in 1576, the city had 180,000 residents, significantly more than 49,000 plus 119,000. Despite the presence of Kim K et al., Venice was less busy in June 2025 than it was in the late 16th century. And on that mysterious and magnificent note, thank you for listening to this Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast number 304. Join us daily via exchangeinvest.com, or if you have a new exchange or marketplace you'd like built, get in touch. My name is Patrick L. Young, and I wish you a great week in life and markets.
This show relates to the business of bourses. It is not to be construed as investment advice, nor are we making any investment recommendations. Please consult an investment advisor before you make any investments, and for goodness sake, do your due diligence and do not make investments without complying with the regulations in your home state. Exchange Invest cannot be held responsible for any investment decisions made as a result of our program, which is for entertainment purposes only. The material herein is copyright Patrick L. Young at the date of publication, while our music and sound effects are sourced from copyright-free sources. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly, the exchange of information.